I've been around a lot of elite athletes, and one of the theories that keep popping up in just conversations with other people around the industry, whoever, is that they always say that the best athletes are the best compensators. And I'm running through that in my mind, and I don't know that I necessarily believe that. I've done a lot of postural movement testing, movement screening on athletes at the highest of levels, and they all seem to move fairly well. They have their restrictions, absolutely, but I don't think that there's a whole lot of compensation. I think the ultimate compensators, the people that compensate better than everybody else, are the people here in this great city of New York City, the Wall Street people. They're compensating with like alcohol and their ridiculous visual system, and just closing off their entire world. They're compensating with their phones and their earphones, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think those people are probably the best compensators, and the athletes always seem to move well. The people that can jump the highest, the people that were pitching the hardest when I worked in baseball, those guys always had fairly clean testing, and I don't think that's any I don't think that's any surprise. I don't think that's ironic at all. But I do think it's kind of a secret for some reason. We have this in this world. We think that. I used to sit down with my baseball players at the end of every season, and I would ask them, what do you want to do in the off season? Like, what's your goal? I would have so many guys be like, I want to lose 10 pounds, or I want to gain 20 pounds, or I need to trim up. I want to trim up my belly fat. And that was real conversations having with professional baseball players. And my question would always be why. I remember sitting down with one particular fella in the clubhouse in Vancouver, Canada, in short season A-ball, and he threw about 97 miles an hour. He hadn't given up a hit since in like 3 months. Relief pitcher. And he said he wanted to gain like 10, 15 pounds or whatever. And I asked him, I said, why do you want to gain that weight? And he didn't have an answer for me. He said, well, that's just, I'm skinny, so I need to gain weight. And I'm like, bro, like, look at the stats. Look what you're doing here. Like, why do you need to change anything? And there's so much cosmetic and beach body type goals that really had no parlaying into their play. And I think, that comes off of this idea that everybody who is a professional athlete, if you want to be better, you need to be bigger, faster, stronger, which is true, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you need to be huge and jacked. And I think that's where the disconnect is. If any young baseball player had the opportunity to walk through a baseball clubhouse and see what these guys look like in their swimsuit attire, I think that everybody would be really surprised, because there's a lot of dad bods in professional baseball. And I'm not saying that's bad at all. That's what a baseball player is. They're not big, huge, jacked, running back looking dudes. Really the only people that look like that are football players in the NBA too. I mean, there's some big guys, but for the most part, they're just built for their sport. They're not huge, jacked guys that can bench press. I was shocked at how much more I could bench press than most NBA players. I want to emphasize, I'm so hot on this topic right now, of that movement is so much more important than strength and like max level strength. Being able to move properly, move freely, move the way you were intended to move. If you can start that train from the beginning, from their childhood, from their first training experience, you're going to create a much, much, much greater athlete down the road. And that's where we really get to the point of how much more important youth strength coaches really are than the pro level guys, because they're the people that are creating the patterns that they're going to use for the rest of their life. They're the people that are creating the people that they're going to be for the rest of their life. And that's far more important than what I was doing at the professional level, was really just kind of managing what they did. So just understand that if you can create that movement pattern, if you can create that movement profile when they're young, that is going to skyrocket them past the competition. It's going to skyrocket them more to their genetic ceiling than anything else ever would, and way more than being able to be the guy who benches the most on the team, or the guy who can squat the most of the team. It's just really not the same when it comes to reaching your true potential as an athlete.